All the way live, Mr. Addison.
I went from the couch to a Zoom 2.2. That's how I roll.
I went to I went out, I just got done talking to a high school biology class actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were you guys talking about?
Well, here's the beauty of it, and this is on video too, so now we can find how much of a phony I am. I had my physiology notes right next to Now, it says here, kids, nervous system is an organ system.
Chapter 6.
Chapter 6, and then one of the kids popped in, he unmuted himself and said, sir, we learned that last year.
I think that was in our syllabus in 86. Yeah, for sure, dude. This is the book I got. This is the book I'm going with.
Yeah, no, I don't know how. I mean, the beautiful thing is you and I talk rather frequently. I feel like every day. So this should be just a growing point of our daily conversations. But how did
Not
it
really.
happen? Did you just hit me up about Veely today? Is that how that happened?
Yeah, I just was like, yo, I said, look at our special boy. And then next thing you know, we're rolling.
He's the absolute man, isn't he?
Dude, special man.
Yeah. So he got
Good
that
for
big
him.
league job. He got that big league job this offseason with the
Yeah,
Giants.
yeah. Because I saw him 2 years ago out in AZ. I was there for a bachelor party and actually met up with us.
Oh, right on. How fun was that?
Too fun. It
So
was
he had to
around.
have been with the Dodgers at the time.
Yeah, we did the waste management open,
Oh,
and then
dude.
we did the Old Town Scottsdale for a little Super Bowl action. It was that same weekend.
So you went to well, hold on. So because you went to Super Bowl this year too.
I didn't go to the game. We just all went out. Like part of the bachelor party was around
Went
Super
to the.
Bowl weekend, which coordinated with waste management.
Oh wow, how epic was that? How many
Two,
guys? How many guys do you guys have down there?
8, 9,
Oh wow, that's all.
10.
Now the big question: did you fly down together or did you all meet up there?
Oh, you have to fly down together.
See, that's where the problem with me is. All my buddies back in Michigan, I meet up with them all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and that's
So
been
the
a
excitement,
that's been a bummer.
it's almost like an airplane. The excitement kind of takes off like this, and then we get there and we go. We
No,
land.
man, that's been one of the big pitfalls, is that not having that excitement. I was actually we were talking about when you hang out with the boys, like when you hang out with the boys, it's the excitement of it is so fun, like the
Yeah.
the prelim to seeing everybody. And
Right,
then
right.
and then sometimes you pay the price for that because you have so much fun right out of the gates, and first hour, 2 hours into it, you blow the whole thing. I mean, it's a tale as old as time.
Any bachelor party longer than 2 days is going to be that third day is a waste of time.
It's a waste of time, and I think that you have to learn that in your 20s. Thank God we're in our
Right,
30s. We
right.
understand that now. We're drinking tea midday. How are you, man? Good to see you.
Hey, I got this is Lake Michigan water. I don't know if you're familiar with that,
Just take a
but
walk over and grab some.
so this gets filtered out of Navy Pier and then heads down our way
I love
in the
it.
suburbs
I love
and
it.
knock out the chemicals and then we hydrate.
I love it, man. Darren Aline is the best hydrating guy I know in the game as far as teaching hydration. So for everyone ready to go and ready to rock and roll with Nick Addison today, Nick is out of Chicago, a thoroughbred. You are the Chicago guy. Like when you watch a movie that revolves around so you remember the movie The Breakup and all the positive parts, right?
Yep, yep.
That's how I see you and all the good
None of the
things.
negatives.
Yeah, none
None
of
of
the
the
negatives. Like extremely funny. In fact, actually, we were talking about movie lines last night on one of our coffee buzzes about what are the movie lines that you consistently use. McGuigan was involved in it, and one of
Yep.
my favorite things is using the line in The Breakup where Vince Vaughn goes, "Why would I want to do the dishes?" And then tying that into, "Why would I want to do that work? Why would I
Right.
want to drive over there?" So,
Exactly.
but yeah, this guy is all the way live, but also unbelievable athlete, former teammates years ago. And what's cool about it, I know we poked each other about getting on a podcast rather quickly right here, but this will be pretty cool. I'm already actually getting excited to start diving into how you've kind of taken the transition of sports into what you're doing, because
Yeah.
you jumped into high level, high competition sales. You're with Bleacher Report right now. You've tasted some extremely high companies before Bleacher Report, and you're in the hub of America, in one of those main hubs where a lot of that stimulation happens. And obviously you've executed rather quickly, and then now you're sustaining it. So that I know every time I see you, we do talk about the correlation of performance and then what you do specifically. And it is all the same thing, right? Sports, sales, anything you do, it's a performance. And, when I'll let you kind of take an overview of what you do, but I think one thing I'm really interested in hearing is, how do you, like, to me, what your job would be really nerve wracking to me, like being in high end conversation, high negotiating early on after sports. I think I really want to dive into some of that too, if you don't mind, to kind of get a grasp of what that's like right away. Cause from my perspective, man, you dove in
Yeah.
right away and started having success like right away. And so I'm trying to think many times, what would that be like to be in a conversation with a guy who's got 30 years in the field or whatnot, and he's negotiating back. I mean, that seems like a really wild experience for you personally. And I know you know all that stuff, but I'm excited to hear a lot of that. But for an idea, just break it down for some people to have some background of what you do.
Yeah, I mean, that's all so true. I think, when you tie sports and sales together, there is so much synergy that it's almost like sports was intended to help you move into the professional world
Yeah.
as a youth athlete. But in terms of what I do every day is, I work in media and advertising sales for Bleacher Report. So what that entails is across the gamut of Bleacher Report, from social to digital to e-commerce to events. We work with high level national brands to bring their brand in light and in front of that sports consumer and that everyday social user and digital user. So every day you're having those conversations of, does this opportunity make sense for this brand to help this brand get in front of this person?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an ongoing cycle of trying to get in front of the right people at the right time to have a conversation in terms of what we have at Bleacher Report, which is, unbelievable content from a sports consumer, not only from live highlights with our NBA rights, but through, the UGC content, which is user generated content, which a lot of people are seeing across all social, especially during now where, there isn't any live sports. So they're leaning into heavily in that space. So we'll connect kind of the content that we're creating, the opportunities we're creating with national brands to help tell a story or help fill an objective that they have. So that could be, a brand awareness play. That could be, I'm trying to drive sales. That can be, I'm trying to drive a lead. I'm trying to just drive a view in terms of my brand. So every day we're sitting in front of, CMOs and brand managers and high-end agencies that have, these directors on the biz, and trying to sell them an opportunity and sell them Bleacher Report and the communities within, which include, BR Kicks, BR Gridiron, House of Highlights, BR Betting, BR Gaming. There's plethora of them, but
Yeah.
in terms of finding the right opportunity for the right brand. So that's pretty much the day to day.
See, it's wild as you're talking about content. Like, you're selling content, correct? That's
100% selling content and large brand partnerships where we can create together or we can help align with content we're already creating.
seeing that alone sounds. How does somebody, because originally at one point, now I don't know the whole history of Bleacher Report. Obviously, everyone has this scene now where you can kind of create content. Like, I can create content for my company. This is
100%.
content, or I can create content on my own. And everyone has this ability to create content. Somehow you're at like the highest field of that, like we'd be all a bunch of minnows, right? Where you're sort of the shark
Yep.
in the game. But what's interesting is, how does someone like yourself sell content from, at some point Bleacher Report was like a minnow, right? It has to be, right? And like I said,
Yep.
I don't know the history, but it had to have been an idea, and then it just was content and people started getting attracted to it. Then it grows. Now you have this major company with thousands of people who train it and teach it and sell it and all this stuff. But how do you sell something where you, like, how do you understand the idea? Like, it's just weird to me you're still talking about content. It's not like it's not like you're selling a baseball bat, right? And you can go, this bat
Yeah.
just makes the ball hit that thing further, so it makes
Right.
more sense to buy this. Like, you're still selling an idea. And how is that? What's that transition like when you first start? Like, is that hard to sell something if you're not sure the ins and outs of it? I gotta imagine that gets better over time, right?
100%. And I think, you bring up the idea of selling a baseball bat, a tangible item that people can touch and feel and
Yeah.
swing, make contact with, whereas content lives in space and time, right? You create something that hopefully people engage with, hopefully people grasp onto,
Yeah.
and that there hopefully is some kind of excitement or feel or a sense of kind of an attachment to that piece of content. Now, content is everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's as simple as what we're doing here. It's as simple as someone sending a picture to a grandparent. That's content,
Mm-hmm.
right? But where you kind of separate yourself, and when you talk about sharks versus minnows, is our CEO always talks about distribution being king. Everyone talks about content, but without the distribution, without the scale, where's that content going, and what are you doing with the content?
Mm-hmm.
Are you creating content to help move something down the line? Are you creating content to just make people say, hey, look what I'm doing, this is cool? For our purposes, we're doing both, right? We're creating content to help the sports, to help sports fans make it easier for them to be a sports fan every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Following along with the teams and leagues that they love. But then also from the brand perspective, is we're creating content together.
Sure.
So for an example, Mind Strong could come to us and say, hey, this is our brand, this is what we do, this is our mission, this is our objectives, this is our KPIs.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we would go back to our team from, a marketing and strategy team and try and ideate around an idea of how can we hit on all these pillars and still stay true to who we are as a content creator.
Sure.
And that is a huge piece to it because, yes, we have the tools, we have the talent, we have the capability to create anything. But does it make sense for our brand? And I think when you look at yourself as a performer and as a human, is what you're doing every day keeping you in line with your, as Mind Strong talks about, your vision, your standards, your practices, right? Are you staying aligned on those no matter where the world's going, no matter global pandemic, no matter if I got $1 million, no matter if I'm poor? Are you staying true to yourself? And I think at Bleacher Report, as content creators, we have to make sure we're doing that no matter the brand or the alignment that's coming from a different angle. So it's a challenge in itself, but I
Yeah.
think if you're able to adapt with the time, you're able to find distribution plans and models, then you grow. And if you're not, it's hard.
So two things that I think about on that is, one, how challenging is it to have so many minds involved, right? Because you're still different people, even if you guys have same curiosities or same, things that you're excited about. Is there conflict a lot of that distribution or the sort of content, because you're evolving, right? I mean, like, this is a massive change. So what is that like? Because it's an idea, artistic type of deal is the way I'm seeing it. I could be off there, but if you have so many people in a room who create art, but it's still under the same umbrella of the same art, what is that like? Does that become challenging to think you have a better idea than somebody else, or vice versa?
100%. Yeah, I think that is the hardest part, is letting down your ego, your guard,
Yeah.
your ability to kind of look at the bigger picture.
I
Why
bet.
are we doing this? Where are we placing this? And who's going to see it? And once you establish kind of those three pillars, then you have the ability to kind of create together. And I think if you're creating together, you're making something bigger and better than if I was just coming up with an idea. I can come up with an idea tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
but I need our marketing team to help put it together on paper and visually present it. I need our social team to be able to execute it on an Instagram, on a TikTok. I need our production team to go to the production shoot and make sure it comes to life. So everyone has a role similar to a team, right? If I don't have a catcher, how the hell am I going to pitch?
Right.
And if I'm not pitching and I don't have a defense behind me, how am I going to make that work? So how I envision it and how it comes to life from my lens is I am the pitcher, right? I am the sales guy.
Yeah.
So the catcher is the marketing team. He's got the tools. He's got, all the signs to give you. The coach is kind of the CEO in the front office, kind of leading you in the direction you need to go. Team still needs to play, but I have to deliver that pitch to the client to ensure that they have the opportunity to put the ball in play.
Yeah.
Once the ball goes into play, defense can handle it from there, and we can have those conversations of how do we pivot because they like this, or how do we go to this platform when we thought about Instagram at first. So it's an ongoing cycle of, if you're not able to adapt, you're going to get in trouble, but also staying true to who you are and the team you are on the front of your jersey.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. That made tremendous sense for me.
Yeah.
So
I know, that's why I did it for you.
yeah, I was like, okay, I get this now a little bit. No, well, my other part of that is also, then what separates content? Because it seems like, I kind of look at the Facebook game, right? If you go back to social network, I just say there's my resemblance to content advancing. Yeah. But right. You had all these people who had the similar ideas, but was it really similar ideas? And then why didn't someone do that, or why did somebody do that? And then why did Facebook take off, but then MySpace years ago didn't take off like Facebook? Or why is Twitter different than Instagram? Or why is LinkedIn so important? Like how does somebody who has really good art or really good content, how does the world make them seem like they're like, why do we think Bleacher Report's so epic? Because it is perceived as like the best, but there's got to be something else out there that is just like Bleacher Report, but isn't Bleacher Report. What separates content?
Yeah. And I think, there's a lot of things, right? I think the first thing, as I've mentioned, is the distribution and scale. Mm-hmm. And you only get that by growing and adapting. So Bleacher Report started as a .com, right? It was bleacherreport.com. Okay. It was really focused on team streams and giving people content for their given team and league. So I'm from Chicago. I like the Bears. I like the Bulls. I like the Cubs. Mm-hmm. Here's my team's information. Strictly editorial, right? I'm giving you straight news articles on a .com that I go on the desktop and watch.
Sure.
From there, it evolved as platforms came out, and that's how you kind of continue to kind of adapt and evolve. Is you have to make sure that when these platforms do emerge and when they come out, is that you're ready and that you're creating content and creating opportunities that can fit into the platform. Mm-hmm. Not try and take what you have and push it over there, but take what you have and layer on to ensure that it fits that platform. As you mentioned, there is a ton of different platforms out there, from the Facebooks and Twitters and Instagrams, and now emerging TikTok. And what we're doing every day is creating content specifically for those platforms.
Okay.
They have a totally different lens. They have a totally different voice. They have a totally different audience, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you're not creating one piece of content and distributing it everywhere, but I'm in this lane with this lane with this piece, and so forth. And there's people that are very close to doing what Bleacher Report's doing. There's a guy sitting in his house that can make a UGC video and post it, and it goes viral. Yeah. There's a guy that can do a highlight tape that looks awesome and has treated highlights, which is kind of imagery over the highlight, and post it tomorrow. But what he doesn't have is the scale and eyeballs of a Bleacher Report. And that only comes with consistently doing good things all the time at the right moment. And that goes not only from a content creation, but a life. If you want to be great at something, you can't just do it once and say, okay, this was awesome, I had fun, but now what? What's next?
Right.
So you have to continually make the right content at the right time and put it in front of the people that want to engage with it at that right time. So it's very, very hard.
Yeah, that's crazy, because you guys put out stuff like, I gotta imagine, is pretty much everything quantified as viral on content from Bleacher Report? Like, wouldn't you guys be considered viral on all of your posts?
Yeah, I think I think anything over that 750,000 to 1 million views is considered viral. That's how many people have seen it. But our goal is not to put out something to make it go viral. That's our goal. Yeah, our goal is to put out content that that we make it easier for our audience to be a sports fan.
Yeah, and that's what you've been talking about, right? Like, it's like we're making it easier for a sports fan, and by adapting and evolving, just like anything, like, you just need to keep getting better. Like, it's just, that's kind of the moral of the story across any field. It's got to be. So is there a lot of thought that goes into? I guess I'm trying to think of Gary Vee always says like content is content. I don't follow Gary Vee that much, but I just always get, people who
Yeah.
do will talk about Gary Vee just how I'll talk about somebody else, right? So people that I know always say Gary Vee says pump content, like just get content out there. But I could see if you were perceived as that, it wouldn't be a big deal. Like I could see if you were Gary Vee and you just pumped out content over and over and over
Yeah.
again, it's not that big of a deal if that's what you're known as. But I also would have to imagine that if you guys pump out anything day to day, it still goes through like a ton of. I could be way off, but does it go through a funnel system to go? Yep, that's what we're producing, or is
Yeah.
it just content, content, content?
It's a little bit of both, right? It's a combination of, hey, we have to create because people are expecting us to create,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to do it in the right way. And we have to do it through the right channel.
Sure.
And we have to make sure the right people are seeing it and that the content stays true to who we are, but also is timely. I mean, that's the hardest part right now is especially during kind of the time that we're living in is, if you get a viral piece of content, and let's call it a user generated piece of content that's submitted or a video that goes online that we aggregate. If you don't push that out before, let's say a Sports Center, an Overtime, a Barstool Sports, you lose the interest of the audience because they feel like you just took their video and repurposed it. You could never see it, but at the same time, timing is 100% everything. And something we're continuing to do, and you'll see on our House of Highlights posts, is we're watermarking it because we're having content creators create stuff for us to ensure that that content doesn't get ripped off or reshared and look like it wasn't ours to begin with. So I think that's a very, very hard thing to do. And because of the scale that we're all playing at, I mean, House of Highlights is the #1 followed sports brand on Instagram, 17.1 million followers.
Wow.
It's absurd. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right. But it also has a certain lens and a certain voice that you have to keep up with all the time. And it's not about the amount of posts. It's about the posts that are going to gather the most views, but the most engagements as well. That's our kind of key KPI, key product indicator, is that if we don't have the engagements, meaning a like, a share, a comment, the views are whatever. A view is a swipe.
Yeah, you just rolled through.
We want people engaging with the content, chatting, talking, sharing.
Right.
And that's where we kind of separate ourselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you guys get concerned about people because when you're so big, it's inevitable. There's no way that people aren't taking a concept you have and maybe just moving some language around and tailoring it as their own, and vice versa. I mean, I'm sure you guys, because everything is everything, right? I mean, it's like we can talk about purpose so many different ways, but if Bleacher Report talks about purpose, it just sounds a little bit cooler, right? But do you guys worry about that, or is that not seen as that big of a concern at higher levels when you're worried about like your content being taken?
No, I think it depends on the content, right? Because from our angle, there's a huge piece of our business that is aggregated content from the web already, right? There is people sending in videos. We say this is great. We post it out and share with the world.
Yeah.
And there is that content that we're straight up creating. Most brands won't be able to or publishers won't be able to take the content that we're creating every day and repurpose it. But that fight to catch that viral moment and put it on your platform, that's the grind. That's the hard part, is how can you get it first? How can you get the approval through a DM? Hey, can we use this? How can you post it before anybody else? And that's hard. And if you're sitting on your phone today, and most people in our, Gen Z, millennial, a little bit, now the boomers are trying to get a touch of social.
They're trying to get a little tickle in there.
Exactly. If you're not first to the punch, it's you lost that battle. I mean, there's hundreds of battles that you can have in a day to capture that content, but you just got to find the good stuff.
So as a guy like you, how are you evolving on your own? And then is there a lot of like are they leading you towards that? Do you look up for people you work with, people outside of your organization that you sort of look like outside of like what we do and conversate and stuff like that? Like, do you I guess it's just like in my field, it seems so easy to learn. Like it just seems so easy to learn in my field because I have so many avenues to go towards. Where how do you sort of how do you adapt yourself? How do you even know you're performing really well? Is it just purely numbers? Like what if you're not hitting you know where I'm headed with all that.
Yep. I think that's number one question, number one goal is to try and figure that all out. I mean, as a salesperson, numbers are always going to drive performance
For sure.
to a degree, right? Let's say if you're working on, let's say 100%, that's 60%, maybe even 70% of, especially for the salesperson, but also a good base for the management to say, okay, you're doing what you're doing. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But I think this extra 30 or 40% is really something that you cannot put a number on. You cannot put a target on. You can't put any kind of value on. Is this urge and this excitement to learn, as well as the ability to make people around you better and easy to work with. I think that's very crucial in sales and the relationships. I mean, sales is 1000% based on the relationships you have, not only internally, but externally. And I think that is very similar to sports, is that clubhouse guy. That's my goal. I want everyone to be like, oh, Nick Addison's a clubhouse guy.
Yeah.
And in the sports world, we know what that means. You don't have to define it. You don't have to put a definition on it. You don't have to do anything. If I'm a clubhouse guy, you know what that means. I was perceived as a clubhouse guy, and people told me I was a clubhouse guy playing baseball. I'm trying to do that in sales, right?
Sure.
Now I'm also trying to go to the plate and hit a dinger.
Yeah.
And that's a sale.
Yeah.
But if you're really good at being a clubhouse guy and you miss this piece, the dinger, people are going to be more reluctant to be like, hey, we know you're putting your best foot forward, and you might have had a couple breaks here and there, and that's, I think, very crucial in how I go about it every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's a clubhouse guy, and obviously having great feel, right? Being a cool person is really, if you're not in the sports world and you're going, well, what is a clubhouse guy? In reality, it's just you're a cool person, and you're good. People like being around you, and that's simply what it comes down to. I mean, if you look at, it's like popularity is popularity in high school, but then in the adult world, popularity is like that guy works hard, he's a good person, cares about people, you know what I mean? And so it's something I wonder, I'm just thinking through my own head of this, as I wonder how, if you could be or turn yourself into a clubhouse guy, or do you think that becomes, at some point, do you think that becomes too long gone? Because you got to think a lot of that has to come from when you're a kid. I mean, the background also of you is you have an epic family, right? I mean, you guys are super tight knit, very cool people. You guys have a sweet Ken's crew, dude. I mean, but that stuff, my brain, the way that my brain works, like I study people like yourself, right? So it's like when I study that, well, there's a lot of stuff that makes tremendous sense of why you're a clubhouse guy. And I just wonder because what you're saying makes sense, but what if someone's in their 30s or even their 40s or 50s and they just don't get it? How would you trickle someone into having some feel? How would you trickle someone to being a clubhouse guy? Like, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. And I don't even know if that's really a question.
No, I think it is. I mean, I think it's a statement and a question at the same time. The question is, how do you become a clubhouse guy if you're not?
Correct.
Is there an answer to that? And I think you can definitely learn and you can definitely grow. I don't think you will become a full-on clubhouse guy, but I think if you surround yourself with people that are clubhouse guys or people that have this, aura or excitement about them, and you surround yourself with those people, I think you start to rub off and you start to come to the workplace or come to the field with a different mentality versus I need to get a hit or I need to strike out this guy, instead of I need to do this for my team, or I need to get on the mound and just be who I am. Right. Sure. And from an office setting, like being at home kills me as a clubhouse guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So my clubhouse percentage was at 100 in March 1st.
Now you're getting crushed.
It slowly falls off every day because you're not around people. You're not around, the environment of your workplace, where I think a lot of people go, well, I hate going to work. Well, you're not a clubhouse guy then if you hate going to work.
For sure.
My office sucks, or this and that. And, I think as you think about all these people that are about to graduate, and a lot of the, the MASH crew that's about to go to college, if that exists anymore. I mean, virtual college.
Yeah.
The thought is do what you did on the baseball field to make you the player and person you were in the workplace. I mean, that's the takeaway. Like, don't try and do something different. Now that you graduated, now that you're going to college or graduated college, don't try and be this, okay, now my tie needs to be buttoned up tight. Now I need to walk in a straight line. Be the same person you were when you stepped on and that second game of the doubleheader in the heat in Arizona and Vaca's at third chirping you. You know what I'm saying? Same exact guy that you've always been. And if you're able to do that, which a lot of people are not, you're going to have success no matter what industry you're in. But I think a lot of people fall off that because they're trying to be now this perceived notion of I'm in corporate America, or I need to be locked in. That's how you grow. That's how you get to people liking you. Like, your numbers from a salesperson could be 50%, but we love Nick.
Sure.
And I'll take someone I love over someone that is a terrible human and does 120%. To be honest.
No, you see that across the board. That's a great point. It's something too. Do you feel, okay, so if you're in the sales world specifically and you go into that environment because you don't know, so what was it like when you first got into sales and you didn't know that? Obviously you saw through to be able to now know that, and you've had a lot of success. So success is confidence, right? We were talking about this the other night. It's like the first presentation I ever gave was at a junior college. Now, great junior college, right? And it was really cool. And I gave a 2-part presentation. This was in 2013. I gave a presentation to this junior college, and I felt like, wow, this is cool, right? But I was also playing professional baseball at the time, so I couldn't really see it. It made sense. Like, yeah, you should probably listen to me. I'm a professional baseball player. You're a junior college guy. And then, like, the next day, I stayed there and I worked with the high school the next day, didn't think much of it. Then I get out of sports and I started presenting or working with athletes, and it was, youth or high school athletes at first. And then I got like a Division III school asked me to come and speak. And then it was like a Division II. Then a few years later, and then I work with some Division I's, and they're paying me. And that trajectory, the presentation might not have changed, but my tone and my language changed, my confidence changed, my ability to go further changed, because success does breed a lot of confidence, right? Like if you don't hit any home runs, you don't know what that's like. So you hit a home run, you go, now I'm capable of that. How do I make that happen more often while being this clubhouse guy? So it's like when you come into the new corporate world outside of sports and you don't know what this new perception's like, was that as easy or efficient for you to recognize it the way you just said it when you first got into it? Or did you have to have some people walk you through that?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, right? I came in with this, I've always had confidence from personally, so I walk in to my first day on the job, which was at Fox as a sales assistant, the lowest part of a sales organization from ad sales.
Okay.
And from that moment, it was the Monday after I graduated college. So I graduated college on a Friday. On Monday, I'm in the workforce.
Wow.
So to tell you the truth, I didn't have time to think about how I should act, what I should be like, how should I carry myself? Should I get a briefcase? Should I get a backpack? Should I have a bat bag? What do I bring? Right. So for me, I walked in really with the sense of I'm going to be who I am and see what happens. And if this doesn't work, then it doesn't work and it's not for me. But if it works and shit starts going good, this could take off really quick. And for me, it has.
Wow.
And the great thing about it is I was surrounded by people that appreciated that and that fueled that. So there's a difference, right? You can walk in as this, confident, which confident and cocky are totally different. We all know that.
For sure.
And you can walk in with this, fun, loving personality. You can have success. You can do your job really hard because you can't put both of those together, or you can't have them separate. You can't work hard and have the shitty personality and people are going to like you. It just doesn't happen.
For sure.
So it came to this point where, people were fueling it, saying, wow, we love being around you, Nick. We love being around you. Don't change you. Don't change what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be our boss soon. I mean, those statements, you go, holy shit. I mean, I'm not doing anything different than I've always done.
Right.
But now the confidence starts to build, just as you mentioned. You hit the JUCOs, you hit the D2s, D3s, D1s, and now you're like, oh, what I'm saying is making sense, right? So then you go from the sales assistant to then the next step of sales planner to then account executive to then, the brands just keep coming. And now you're feeling, for me, I'm at the top of exactly where I want to be for this current role. Right.
Yeah.
So I always was trying to get into sports. I always wanted to get in digital and social media from an ad sales perspective, and especially with a publisher who is legit 1-2 punch with any other sports brand in the
That's
digital and
cool.
sport and the social space.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen by accident. There's things that happen along the way, and there's trials and tribulations that you would never know that you would get to this point. But if you don't endure those and keep the same path and personality that you always have, you'd never get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, so that's where I think that's where it's got to be fun for you too, right? Because it's an extension of what you personally are capable of, and it's something. So what pushes you to keep extending that? Because obviously you've seen this person that you are works, right? And
Yeah.
that's confidence. And now you want to just amplify that. You want to just keep getting better and better. Now through that, you do get better and better, but I've got to imagine now your improvements are a lot smaller or shorter or hard to come by than it was at that first sales job, right? Because it's like you take these huge leaps
Right.
where
Right.
then, even in baseball, when you're at the top of your baseball game, it's a lot harder when you run a 6.7 to run a 6.6 than when you were running a 7.5
Right.
to get to a 6.7.
100%.
So what's that like in sales or confidence as you extend yourself as a performer now? What are those little edges that you're trying to chase?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's so true. I mean, the current role I'm in, the next step of the next role is, director or VP, which
Mm-hmm.
could be 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road. You
Sure.
don't know.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's continuing to kind of build the network and get people to continue to, I'm not going to say praise you, but give you the confidence to continue to be who you are.
Yep.
Right. If you get in an environment that doesn't, you feel like you're not growing. For me, growth doesn't come in numbers. Growth comes in continue to meet new people that you have the same impression on that person that you have a friend that's 20 years, that you've been around for 20 years.
Yeah.
And now you know that you're having the same effect on somebody and who you are, and you haven't changed. And for me, that's growth, right?
Sure.
It's making a connection with, hey, Harvey connected me with, Bob. Well, oh, Bob, this guy's great. Bob tells Harvey, Harvey tells me. Now I feel like I grew that day is because I made a connection with somebody outside of my day-to-day network
Mm-hmm.
that felt the same energy and excitement that Harvey feels about me or that X person feels about me. So that's how I'm continuing to grow, as well as, doing things with Mindstrong. I mean, we work together, and
Yeah.
not from a sense of here's our deal. We meet every Tuesday, we do this, but we
Correct.
work together in the sense of learning and growing through communication
Mm-hmm.
and through dialogue.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think if you're able to do that and have a simple text here, a simple call here, there's growth in all that. It
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
have to be a setup. Here's the invoice for our work. Here's, it's, hey, how you doing today? You feeling great?
Yep.
Here's something I read.
Yep.
Boom, I just learned something new that I can take into the sales organization or whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, so another two-part thing that really got me thinking on that conversation is, I don't know if I heard this or I thought about this, but you get, when you come out of that college role or you come out of sports or you get into a new environment, you do have such I don't want to say like a worry, but maybe a worry of networking aggressively. Like you feel like you have to network all the time. And what I've found a lot of success in is you do your best networking when you actually don't do it, when other people do it for you, and that's something like you and I have had a lot of success where I'll almost tell people about you without even asking you. If I trust this person or I like this
Right.
person, I'll go, hey, like here's a guy,
Right.
and I've actually gotten a lot of podcast guests. Mostly, especially in the last year, I've gotten most of my guests from not me reaching out. I've gotten it
Yep.
from people sending them to us and going, "Hey, you should jump on Mindstrong, or you'd really like it," And so,
Yeah.
do you have something to elaborate deeper on? Have you noticed that, because you are in a huge relationship-based industry,
Yeah.
and I see a lot of people try to network by thinking they're the one that does the network. And I actually think that it's a little opposite. I think it's more of you do your best networking when you're not doing it, when other people are doing it for you.
Yep. And I think is the key to any kind of sales or corporate America job is, there is these events where there's a straight up
For sure.
objective of we're here to network.
For sure.
And to tell you the truth, the success rate of that is very, very slim, right?
Yeah.
You might get an email, you might meet someone, but now what has to happen is I meet this person, I get a business card, I get an email. Now I have to go, I have to send this person an email, I have to set up 15 to 30 minutes with them. We have to have a connection. It has to make sense. Then we have to push our business down the road, right? All that gets taken out by if I impress Harvey, who tells Joe, who then says, Nick, let's talk. Well, Harvey already told Joe about me.
Yeah.
You already know about me. So the communication becomes a lot easier.
For sure.
So I think for me, the networking is super, super simple in the sense of make the impression on the person you need to make the impression and let it trickle down from there. And that's 100% how even the media sales industry works, right? Look at it from a Bleacher Report or an ESPN or a Sports Center. Why would a brand reach out to those partners to create something with if they didn't think that they had the reputation or network that they have?
Sure.
So it ties it back to that, is that, I'm not going to call up, Joe Trading Card Company or some sports site because I don't know their reputation. I haven't networked with them. I haven't heard from, Mike about who they are as a person or who they are as a brand and what they stand for. So that's why you do see a lot of, CMOs or CEOs getting on podcasts talking about their brands, because what they're trying to do is create this network.
Okay.
And the network grows by better understanding who they are and who the brand is from an overarching perspective. So yeah, that's it. It's the network. 100%.
It is, and it's also it's time, right? I mean, that's where you have to be so diligent of putting in time, because it's those networking events. What the reason why those don't work that well is because also if I meet you for a day or two and I'm meeting you in the scene of networking, like I'm seeing you on your A game. I tell a lot of athletes this all the time. The hard part about being an athlete or a celebrity, if you will, is that you get everyone's A game. Like they come up to you and, hey, you and I could say the same joke and yours is a little bit funnier, or just funny and mine's not funny, whatever. But you get people's A game. So you go to a networking event and that's everybody's A game. Like you're here, that's their avatar, if you will. So then you have to see through their avatar, understand their avatar, and then you have to put in a bunch of back end work and go, is this worth it? Is this worth it to put a bunch of time in to keep poking at this person, Whereas like you and I could talk, or we could network about something so deep that I'd actually, hey, like actually, how's your family? Or like actually what's, where are you guys going? Or what are you guys reading? Those sort of things. And it's not as uncomfortable. So how do you put an emphasis on time? Like, do you sort of remind yourself that, okay, I'm building this and this might not come to fruition for 5 years from now, or I might not see something? Because I've learned that a lot as an entrepreneur. Is it, this is a good thing, yes or no, or no's, or here or there, or not yet. Right. Just keep being a good relationship, and maybe 5 years from now something happens, and it has a lot. But in your world, now you have like numbers too. So how do you sort of balance that? I don't know how that would. I mean, that's got to be insane.
Yeah, I think that's a very deep question and a hard one to answer because of the fact of time doesn't stop. So you're not going to sit here and pause a moment of success, because success is very, very quick. You can have success by the fact that if I close this deal today, this feels great. Tomorrow, when we have the kickoff call for the production, Joe Schmo didn't show up and he's the producer. Okay, now I didn't feel like it was successful. Yeah. Right. So now this essence of time is that if you put in the work and you put in kind of the conversation day in and day out and continue to kind of be who you are, that everything else takes care of itself. And that could be, hey, this year I delivered X amount of dollars, but at the same time, next year I didn't. But that doesn't matter, because what I care about is going back to point A, is the Clubhouse guy, right? And if I can continue to be this Clubhouse guy and make this unbelievable network and relationships across every person that I encounter, then the numbers will kind of flatten over time, right? And that doesn't matter to me. And Yes, I want to drive sales, but being the number one salesperson on a straight number quantifier, I don't care about that.
Right.
I care about everyone when I show up in the room, they're like, oh, Nick's here, or,
Yeah.
something that nature, right?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Hey, let's go out. Let's grab a drink. Hey, I want to hang out with you. I want to be around you because I love your energy. I love what you bring to the table. I don't care about if you close a $2 million deal
Right.
because that's irrelevant in 10 years. I'm not going to remember that Nick closed a $2 million deal in second quarter of 2020.
Right.
But I'll remember that Nick, carried himself in a way that I was attracted to in the sense of personality
Yeah.
and how he went about his business. I mean, it goes back to sports.
Yeah.
You don't remember the pitch that you made in the 2016 World Series, but you remember who you were as a teammate and who your teammates were.
100%, dude. No, that's nails, but you're in a world with numbers, and so you also,
Right.
it's like in sports, the team who doesn't try to win the Super Bowl, like wins the Super Bowl, right? Or the
Yeah.
team that how would I say that? You know what I'm saying? Like the team
Yep.
who doesn't emphasize having to win the Super Bowl wins the Super Bowl, or the
Yep.
player who doesn't have to hit 300 hits 350.
Right.
So it's almost, if you don't hit that $2 million sale, but then you end up getting the $200 million sale, it's like the concept of letting go is this overarching theme of all of our professions, right?
Yeah.
And you still have those numbers. So, from that same segue of sports to now, do you think that's where sports served you so well, is where you can kind of comprehend those numbers right now as a batting average and go, well, I've already seen how this worked when I tried to chase the numbers back when I
Right.
played. And so,
Yeah. Yeah.
is that sort of a great way to why people like yourself do so successful in sales because of sports?
1,000, 100,000,000%. Like you can't even put a number on it. I think having a sports mindset and a sports background
Yeah.
gives you that extra percentage when it comes to the table of a job opportunity.
Sure.
Why? Is because of, a couple things. One, you know how to work well on a team. You understand the concept of a team. You understand the concept of a coach or a boss or a leader. You understand that I still have a job to do
Yeah.
as a position player.
Yep.
But then you also have this sense of failure. And I think baseball, better than any other sport, puts you in that position. You're going to fail 7 out of 10 times, bat 300, and be an all-star.
Yeah, it's wild.
There's not a lot of businesses where you can go in and fail 7 out of 10 times and still have your gig, right?
Yeah. Well, he's a really good guy, but he's going to have to go.
He's betting about $1.50. So, when you look at it that way, but when you look at it from a sense of a numbers perspective, right? If I have, 2 at-bats in a game or 3 at-bats in a game, I really just have to put the ball in play really hard one time, and I'm going to have a successful day, right? If I'm 1 for 3 with a dinger, I think I can make it,
Sure.
I think everything's good. So sports has defined me as a salesperson because of that, because of the growth, and because of, what happens behind the scenes, right?
Sure.
Everyone shows up to work 9 to 5. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Similar to game day. Everyone shows up and you perform, and you either have a good day or a bad day in the sense of how you define it.
Yeah.
From what happens behind the scenes, there's not much practice anymore when you get into corporate America. You aren't practicing in the sense of I need to put in 3 to 4 hours, 2 days a week, 3 days a week to help come game day on Sunday.
Yeah, wow, that's a good point.
Game days Monday through Friday. Okay, Saturday, Sunday, you could take your off days if you want to. But for me, that's where I learn. That's where I read. That's where I communicate with someone. That's where I send a text to someone that's in my industry and maybe say, hey, what did you guys do this week? Or, hey, how was things this week? Did you talk to this person? And now you become a little bit better at who you are and what you're doing while everyone else is sitting on the couch watching Tiger King, right? I mean, that's
literally.
different.
Yeah, I mean, that's
because you have a sports mentality. It's not a wait to get to the weekend to relax.
Right. Well, you already said it, even though I was going to ask this, but you already answered it just now. I was going to ask, is every day a game day in that world? Like, is it every day at work? Does it feel high pressure, or does it feel like a game, or are there days where you can kind of chill, and not in a positive
Yeah,
chill,
yeah, I
right?
know.
And yeah, I'm just talking more of a can you rest your, like, not all days you're on, right? So just like in games, you're not on all the time, but is that what it's like in your world? Is Monday through Friday a game day every day, or at least a potential win every day? Or is there days
Yeah.
where you're like, we're probably not much going to happen today?
No, 100% you have the opportunity to win each day.
Wow.
And
Okay.
to the sense of how you define winning will determine how you attack the day, right? I mean,
Yes.
for me, winning that day could be I need to send out 10 emails where I feel I reached out to a client to offer an opportunity to them.
Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
win for me could be like I have a big presentation for a client and I'm going to knock that presentation out. A win for me could be, hey, me and this guy went to lunch and we had a great conversation. Like
Sure.
those are wins in themselves. That's the game within the game. Monday through Fridays are the opportunities. You have 40 hours in the week, technically, that you have the opportunity to win, but you have to define what the goal is that day,
Yeah.
right? If you walk into that day and say, okay, another day, here we go, and you just start going, what are you trying to achieve today, right? Like, what are we trying to get out of the day that makes us feel like we're advancing? And if you don't feel like you're advancing, then that's where there's issues as far as a performer, as well as in corporate America, where you get tired and you get knocked down, is because you don't have a goal. You don't have an endpoint. That's why Corona is killing a lot of people mentally,
Sure.
because there is no endpoint. But the endpoint is today, right? How can I get through this day? And how can I feel like I won this day, no matter where the end is?
Yeah.
I know that at 11 o'clock when I go to bed, did I win the day because me and my daughter were on the swing for 2 hours and that was my goal?
Yeah.
I want to be
Big
outside for 2
Right.
hours. We won. It's
Right.
over. Day's over. Next day is a new competition in my eyes.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, so let's look at competition, because the thing that you notice a lot when I was in professional sports was it lost that camaraderie of the college, right? When we were on a college baseball team, it was, you genuinely wanted people to do really well. You know,
Yeah.
again, and then that, I wouldn't say that is out of the picture, out of the question in professional sports, but it's definitely not what it is in college. You know, you weren't super jacked up when other people did really well and got moved up
Right.
and you didn't, or
Right.
if you got released and they didn't, right? And,
Yeah.
and you felt that too from other people on top of you. So what is that like in the team aspect in sales, or in your guys' environment, where, you know, if you and I are on the same team, you know, but we're still chasing numbers, what's the difference like of college sports and teamwork compared to sales teams, of sort of mastering that? Because I'm sure that's got to be
Yeah.
wild too, to find people to help you.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's so much truth there, but I think what us as a sales team and a lot of sales teams have positioned themselves is everyone has some kind of individual goal, number wise, let's
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
And you're chasing that every day as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also this team aspect, right? There's also these team goals of having continued success, because when the team succeeds, the brand succeeds, the brand succeeds, you
Everyone's
succeed,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
So if you have the mentality of, you're competing against yourself and you're competing against your clients, in the sense of, if I don't deliver this message to them, they have won, right? Because I didn't pull them in to buy this opportunity. So from that sense, that's the competition. It's not really me versus, Bob on our team, or me
Yeah.
versus Joe in New York, who are on the same sales team, because
Yeah.
we are a team. The competition is battling yourself to win every day on those little wins we talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and battling, really the competition of the other publishers,
Mm.
the ESPNs and Overtimes and Barstools of the world, right?
Yeah.
That's the competition.
Because if your brand, like you already said, if your team does improve, you have more confidence going into the meeting
100%.
or the client.
100%.
So then
Yeah.
that's a cool way of looking at it. Man, it's wild how much I feel like I do know you and talk to you, but it's weird. It's wild how much just hearing it and like putting
Yeah.
myself in those shoes, you know, it's just, that's a cool, I mean, you break it down really well. You paint a really good picture of it, you know, and I know the finale of how the Mind Strong podcast sort of roll here, but I'm going to take you through it anyways, of the sense of, we always start with the Diamond Series, or we're finished with the Diamond Series, we start at home plate.
Yep.
You just mentioned your daughter, and obviously you're very close with your family. Ken's crew, I'll give another shout out. I mean, you got to
Yeah,
dive
you're
into
doing
this.
that.
Yeah, these guys run the best tailgate in human history on Sundays, right?
There you go.
But you're an amazing human above all that stuff. So it's like you have great connections. People really look up to you, and you are very helping hand, even if it's not a networking thing, which is very difficult. I know that I say that as a leadership role, but also, that's really difficult because people who are extroverted or people who talk to people all day and then still find time to help people that isn't coming back to them is hard, because that's
Yep.
you having to,
100%.
yeah, you have to break and quantify the value of your time. And that can be very frustrating, right? I struggle with that tremendously, but you're one of the best I know at being able to be moment to moment in a high paced life. And that's pretty cool. So, to lead that into why I'd take you down the Diamond Series in the center of purpose is, okay, well, let's look at your way of intentionally setting forward wins, right? Whether that's how you identify with yourself now, how you serve other people, how you use your platform to serve other people. And then obviously our favorite one is, what are you willing to struggle for? But when you kind of look at that as Addison's why, what is the thing in any environment that gets you to push forward to keep improving just as a person?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and I think that is the hardest part, is being someone that a lot of people rely on
Mm-hmm.
to deliver this positive
Yeah,
energy and consistent communication, that sometimes it weighs on you.
I
I mean,
bet.
the other day it got to me. It was like, I can't say yes to anything else, and I'm a yes guy. I say
Yeah,
yes to anything. My family, anyone that reaches out to me, I want to do the best I can to deliver something to them, no matter what I'm getting in return. I
right.
don't care if it's, I don't need to thank you. I don't need another check. I don't need you to pick up the phone and call someone to make a connection. So my why is continuing to make people better, no matter what that means. No matter if it means I need to go and help you move a couch, or I need to go and take a picture of your clothes to help you put on social media. Like, as simple as those things,
Yeah,
like, to me, is my why, is I have to be able to, because I've been given this unique ability to serve people in the sense of, energy and positivity, is I need to be able to give that back to the people when they need it. So every day I need to wake up and ensure that I'm giving them that attention, and doing it in the correct way at the right time. I mean,
mm-hmm.
my family, my wife, kids, brothers, mom, immediate family, those are the people that are going to get the
The red way.
preferential
Yeah.
treatment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's no tier behind that. So where it sits is family, everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Love that.
even friends. I mean, friends maybe get that number two spot, but at
Sure.
the same time, like, how I define a friend is totally different than everyone else.
Yeah.
People define friends as, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. We've been through the trenches. That's not a friend. A friend is someone that continues to communicate and have connections, and makes kind of you better,
Mm-hmm.
and gives you tools and information to help you learn and grow.
That's
And if you
awesome.
can continue to have that, that makes sense. Yeah, you were friends with someone for 20 years,
Yeah.
but your mind and what you're doing, your why changes, right?
Oh
You
yeah.
still have, you have a certain why now than I did when I was 15 years old.
Always.
And
Right.
if you don't have a similar mindset or a similar why to me, I don't need to put in the time, because there's a lot of people and a lot of other things that I need to deliver on.
Yeah, so that's kind of it, right? Like you sort of narrow in the similarities of other people who are also trying to advance, just in whatever avenue that
Right.
they're in. If they advance, I'm all in on that, And so this is a good way to ask you this too, because someone who is so positive, you're a human, right? So there's no way that you're not, like there's no way you're always positive, right? Like you
Right.
have things that are very difficult just like everyone else, but then your weight to bear is that other people will ride off your emotions, so that becomes very emotionally stressful for people who are positive and those sort of things. So when you have off days or on days, whatever, more so of your own standards, your own personal standards, mentally, emotionally, and physically, how do you optimize yourself first so that you are able to handle what people are about to throw at you? Because I know that's coming at you from start to finish. And if you're not on your A game, how do you still hold the accountability of being able to serve other people through a type of energy. How do you do that on your own end first?
100%. And this is a really good real life live example.
Yeah.
Is my wife is gone
Yeah.
and Olivia just woke up from a nap.
Sure.
Right. So my goal is to serve Harvey in this conversation and also serve my wife's needs is go upstairs and get Olivia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get her and bring her here as the first baby.
Never happened. It's
that,
never
that
happened.
has
Go
ever
get her.
been on Mind Strong to show you my why. And I'm going to answer that question with her in my lap or running around.
Go get the baby. Go get the baby. Go get the baby.
I'm going to secure the bag right now. Hold on.
I'll just have people stare at me, I guess.
Hold on.
Here it comes.
Coming. We're going to make movie magic, though. We can cut this out, you know?
And we got post-nap Olivia.
Guys. All right. We're back. Post-nap Olivia.
Just
Olivia,
waking up.
This is Harvey. Say hi, Harvey. Say hi, Harvey. You've talked to Harvey on the phone before.
Yeah, Olivia, we just talked the other day.
Say hi, Harvey.
Oh.
Hi. So,
I love the post-nap. I love the post-nap. I feel like I need to start talking quiet. She's just going to get going, isn't she?
We're just going to throw around the old device. This is something a lot of parents should make note of, right? The device is good and bad for opportunities like this.
Yeah.
Good.
It's unbelievable. Well, there you go.
Right.
See, so you had to be locked in. So, yeah, roll with it.
Okay, so we're back, right? So this is it. You essentially kind of put the question in the real life form.
Yeah.
It's how do you kind of adapt and optimize your time and your capabilities no matter you have 100 things going around.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the question, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially.
And what you do is you make sure I prioritize. And bucket one is my family. So for that opportunity and this question right here, I had to go and get Olivia and serve her first because that is my priority.
Have to do it. Yeah.
And for me, it's really about the moment and the time of when it happens. So let's say it's someone reaching out about, they need advice or they need this. I will always respond as fast as possible with an answer that I think they will need and then say, hey, let's talk about it more during X.
Okay.
Right.
That's good
and
advice.
I think that's very crucial. I think a lot of people, when people seek advice or people seek your help, it's a very timely ask. It's, can you do it now? Can you execute in this given moment? And people will say, hey, no rush or whatever. But for me, I think if I can respond to you as quickly as physically possible and give you as much information as you need in that moment, because we live in a time and place where communication is the easiest form of any kind of interaction.
For sure.
Right? Text message, DMs, email, we have these devices everywhere.
For sure.
So how can we make that happen? And really it's, I will always give you the time if you're taking the time to reach out to me, because that is showing that I have a value and an asset that you need. And I want to make sure that because I was given this and because I've learned and grown into this person, that I need to give you that back. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It does. I think the key component you said there was I can get back to you quick with what I think I can help you with now, but I'm also going to respect both of our times and say this is probably going to need another time.
Yep.
Which I think that's beautiful. Well, as you kind of finish up daddy duties here, and this is the first baby we've ever had on the podcast, I think it's awesome, and she's an absolute all-star. But when you look at the future and you look at the vision, and you kind of go around to that third base, which this guy legged out a bunch of triples when I remember playing with you because you were a speedster. But when you think about the carrot out in front of you as family as a whole, your job, your personal life, all these sort of things. What is the big picture goal of just your life? Like, what do you see yourself that excites you to move forward? What does that look like? And I know that that's hard to shape. It's very broad, but what is the thing that excites you to try to get every single thing out of your potential?
No, I think that's, I mean, that's a hard question, right? But I think
Yeah. Yeah. There
right
it
there.
is.
Yep, that's a picture of Lola on the phone.
Would you look at that?
That's my parents' dog. Okay. So I think from the sense of that is what's the goal? She was in your house? Yeah. Is continue to get your family everything they need, right? I think that's always a goal of mine. And crazy enough is I always wanted to be older. I know that sounds crazy and people are like, oh, I want to stay young. I want to stay young. But one in my industry, I always wanted to be older because I wanted to have that credibility and the
Sure.
reputation as
100%.
people do,
Yeah.
right? But I also think, my desire to be older is that because I feel that my growth is going to run out. Yeah, that was Daddy looking funny. I always have this sense of my growth is going to run out, right? Am I growing so fast that I can't grow anymore? So why can't I want to be 45 or 50 years old at this given point? Because I want time to slow down.
Sure.
And I think that's super hard to visualize. And how do you put that? Yeah, that's Dad and his brothers in the tub when they were little.
Look at that.
So I think I think that's super hard to kind of visualize.
That's a great point. Yeah.
But for me, and especially in kind of a business corporate America industry, is like age always has some kind of validation and credibility. And no matter what you've learned along the way, is that the sense of because you've been in this for X amount of time,
years. Right.
that you're an expert. I don't believe that. And I think why I always chase that and why I've been reluctant to not chase it anymore is because once you're comfortable in the position that you're at and the person you are, the growth comes naturally. It's, the life growth of having a family, having 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, watching your kids grow. And that becomes now my growth is how can I kind of pass along, my seeds that I took to Olivia and, the next ones to come and how can they grow? So that's kind of my purpose moving forward and my vision for the growth. I'm just coming home.
That's a beautiful answer, man. That's a great answer. I really do love that. And it's mind blowing to me because I thought about that this morning, actually.
Yeah.
I thought to myself about age and how it's something you get I used to get nervous all the time. I still do a little bit, not as much as I used to, but I used to get nervous talking about leadership when I was in my early 20s, and there'd be a guy who'd be in his 50s who'd be in the back of the room. And it didn't matter. I just would have trouble speaking about it because I would feel as, well, that's authority, right? So I shouldn't be allowed to talk about this yet. And you have to break that. I think that hurts a lot of young coaches, a lot of young people in their careers, a lot of young performers. So unbelievable, Nick. I'm really pumped. It was an epic way to get a podcast with you. This
is the only way. This is how you do a podcast.
Yeah, we shot the daily text. Yeah, shot the old, how's the guy doing? How's the guy doing? You want to do a podcast? Yeah, sure, let's do it. So, and then I got to see Olivia. So it's amazing. So, hey, how do people find you before I let you go here and on to daddy duties? How do people find you? How can people kind of learn more about what you're doing? Because you do produce cool content on your own, but you also, you're just a fascinating guy. So it's interesting to follow along with you from many areas. So how do people learn more about you, find you, and then obviously we'll be talking again.
Yeah, I think I'm a very socially active human on IG.
Yeah.
And Addison 12. And what I share there is really my life, right? Yeah. And that's what I use the platform for. I don't use it to kind of push out any kind of agenda or push out any business model. I push out who I am, and hopefully I'm able to, like, going back to square one, is show you who I am as a person and give you some kind of smile or positive energy that then helps push you forward. So, and you'll see a lot of Olivia on there, and I'm happy to share. I know some people don't like sharing their kids, but I think that's why you have them. Let's share them.
Yeah, Oreo cookies. Go watch
Oreo
it. Hey, that's all I'm saying. Go check it out, people. Dive on in. Hey, man, I'm sure I'll talk to you this weekend. So have a great day, brother. I will talk to you soon. Had a blast, man. I'm happy we did it.
Harv, thanks for having me, man.
Yes, sir, bro. I'll talk to you.